Welcome to the Character Advantage podcast, where sport and the human spirit collide. Because the game will end, but the growth lasts forever. The scoreboard is temporary, the heart is forever. Here's your host, Coach Dan Williams.
What kind of culture is your athlete learning to build? That is a question more parents and coaches need to be asking. Because every team has a culture. Every family has a culture, and every locker room, car ride, training session, and dinner table has a culture. The question is never whether culture exists. The question is always what is being built, and even more importantly, who is building it. Welcome back to the Character Advantage podcast, where we help parents, coaches, and athletes strengthen the person before the pressure. Because the scoreboard is temporary, but the heart is forever. Now, if you're new here, I'm Coach Dan. Now, some people have called me the athlete whisperer, but what I care most about is helping athletes and families build something deeper through performance. I want to help you develop a kind of strength that lasts when the spotlight fades, when adversity comes, and when sport reveals what is really happening below the waterline. Now, in today's podcast, we're going to talk about the seventh attitude in the Character Advantage framework, culture building leadership. And let me say this clearly from the start. Leadership is not first a position. It is not a title. It is not about being loud. It is not about being the captain. It is not even about being the best player on the team. Leadership is the ability to shape the environment around you. It is the power to influence what's becoming normal. That means every athlete is leading somewhere. Every parent is leading somewhere. And every coach is leading somewhere. Because culture is always being formed. And culture is not built mainly by slogans on the wall. It is built by what gets modeled, by what gets rewarded, by what gets ignored, and what gets repeated. So when we talk about culture building leadership, we are talking about a way of living that models self-integrity, serving others, and helping to create a trust-based community rooted in values rather than self-interest. Now, that is real leadership. But there's a problem. A lot of what passes for leadership in sports today is actually self-promotion. It is image management. It is emotional control through fear. It is trying to be seen as important. It is protecting status. It is using people instead of serving people. But selfish leadership always weakens a culture. It may produce short-term compliance. It may even produce short-term wins, but it cannot produce deep trust, and it cannot produce flourishing, and it cannot build the kind of community that survives pressure. Because culture built on self-interest always begins to fracture when things get hard. The moment adversity hits, selfishness gets exposed. People blame, people withdraw, people protect themselves, people stop telling the truth, and people perform for approval instead of giving themselves to the mission. That is not leadership. That is insecurity with a microphone. Real leadership says, I will go first, I will tell the truth, I will carry the weight, I will serve the group, I will live the standard before I speak the standard. That is how culture is built. Before you can build culture around you, you must build integrity within you. That is where leadership begins. Self-integrity means your private life and public life are moving in the same direction. It means what you say matches what you do. It means your values are not just things you post, they are things you practice. It means you do not ask others to live by a standard you refuse to carry yourself. Parents, coaches, this matters. Athletes can feel hypocrisy faster than we think. You can preach discipline and model panic. You can preach humility and model ego. You can preach honesty and avoid hard conversations. You can preach team first and quietly build everything around your child. Culture is not built by what we announce. It is built by what we embody. That is why self-integrity is so important. If you want to build trust, be trustworthy. If you want to build honesty, tell the truth. If you want to build resilience, stay steady under disappointment. If you want to build humility, be teachable yourself. The culture you want around you must first become the character within you. Now, the second mark of culture building leadership is service. This is where leadership starts to separate itself from control. A selfish leader asks, "What does this benefit me?" A culture-building leader asks, "What helps this group flourish?" A selfish leader uses people to strengthen their position. A culture-building leader sacrifices personal comfort to strengthen the people and the team around them. That is why the best leaders are often not the most impressive people in the room. They are the most trustworthy. They notice who is discouraged. They bring people together. They protect the vulnerable. They elevate others. They do small things without needing credit. They understand that leadership is not about being above people, it is about being responsible for the health of the whole. And this matters deeply in sports. A team can have talent and still be weak. A family can have opportunity and still feel fragmented. A program can have resources and still lack culture. Now, you may be asking yourself, why? Because culture grows where people feel seen, valued, and called upward together. Service helps create that environment. Service says, you matter, we matter, the mission matters, and I am not here just for myself. And that changes everything. Now, here is the third piece. Culture building leadership must be rooted in truth, not image, not spin, not pretending, truth. Because trust cannot grow where truth is absent. And without trust, culture becomes fragile. Truth means we say what is real. Truth means we name what needs to change. Truth means we do not hide from weakness, conflict, fear, or failure. Truth means we stop pretending and start becoming honest. This is one reason so many teams and families struggle. They want peace without truth. They want unity without honesty. They want encouragement without accountability. But flourishing communities are not built on avoidance. They are built on truth spoken with humility and love. A culture builder knows how to do both, protect the person and confront the problem. That is leadership. To build trust, people need to know three things. You see clearly, you care deeply, and you will not lie to them. And when those three things are present, culture gets strong. Now think about the athlete every program needs. Not always the loudest, not always the star, but the one who sets the tone. The one who trains hard when nobody is watching. The one who responds to correction without sulking. The one who loses without blaming and wins without boasting. The one who brings stability when emotions rise. That athlete is building culture. Or think about a parent. The culture building parent is not just trying to raise a successful athlete, they are trying to build a strong family. They do not let the emotional temperature of one game dominate their family. They do not make the car ride home a courtroom. They do not worship performance. They keep bringing the family back to what matters most. They create a home rooted in trust, truth, and values. That is leadership too. So, how do we practice culture building leadership this week? Here are a few simple ways. First, go in integrity. Choose one value you keep talking about and ask yourself honestly, am I modeling it? Second, serve someone quietly. Do something that strengthens the group without drawing attention to yourself. Third, tell that truth kindly. Have that conversation you've been avoiding, not to try to control the situation, but to find and bring clarity. Fourth, reward what you want repeated. If you want humility, notice it. If you want courage, name it. If you want unselfishness, celebrate it. And fifth, protect the culture in those small moments. Culture is rarely lost all at once. It is usually eroded through tolerated selfishness, unchecked negativity, or repeated compromise. So those small moments matter. Now, here's a deeper question behind all of this. What kind of people are we becoming together? That is the question culture building leaders keep asking. Not just are we winning, not just are we getting noticed, not just are we moving up, but what is this environment forming in us? What is becoming normal here? Are we becoming more truthful, more humble, more trustworthy, more courageous, more committed to one another? Because that is what leadership is really about. It is not simply directing outcomes, it is shaping people. And that is why culture building leadership belongs in the character advantage framework. It ties so many of the other attitudes together. Humble coachability keeps leadership teachable. Honest ownership keeps it accountable. Strength under control keeps it restrained. Love of the process keeps it patient. Resilient grace keeps it steady through failure. Integrity and focus keeps it aligned. And courageous conviction, which is one of the first podcasts I did in this series, keeps it from collapsing under pressure. This is what it means to set the course, shape the heart, and measure the impact. So let me leave you with this. A leader sets culture long before they speak about culture. Because the strongest cultures are not built by self-interest. They are built by people who are willing to go first in character. And when that happens, you do not just create better teams, you create better people. And that is an advantage that lasts. Now, I want to thank you for being with me today. If this podcast has helped you, share it with a sports parent, coach, or athlete who is trying to build something deeper so that they can perform at their high. Because the goal is not just to win the moment, it is to build a life, a family, and a culture worth sharing.